welcome back to As Told by Gabby. On this very special episode, I am sharing some of my experience with the COVID-19 vaccination. If you follow me either on my personal Instagram at @thegabspan or on my podcast Instagram at As Told by Gabby Pod, you may know that I was fortunate enough to receive the vaccination, and I wanted to share some awareness and share some information about the vaccination. I feel like right now, as we're trying to battle this disease head on with the vaccination, this is definitely going to help us get to where we want to be again, as we have been in the past. So I went to Instagram, I went to social media, and I asked for questions. I wanted to see what people are interested in or what they're hesitant about with this vaccination, and I have some information for you all. So let's get into it. All right, so one of the first questions that I received was, how was I able to get this vaccination? As a healthcare worker, I was able to be a part of phase 1A in New York for rolling out the vaccination. I work as an office coordinator or assistant for a doctor who is specializing in treating colon cancer that spreads to the liver, and she works within a larger hospital in New York. So I right now work from home, but every other week I go into the office and I have to help submit materials, whether it's pathology slides or CDs of radiology imaging. So in the building that I work in, patients do come and receive their treatment and care. So although I'm not on the front line, I don't see these patients on a day-to-day basis, being protected and being offered the vaccination was an option to me because it would be another level of security and measurement of protection for these patients as well. Now I'm going to go a little in depth in regards to the different phases that were rolled out for the vaccination, specifically in New York. So phase 1A included healthcare workers, especially workers on the front line, and then phase 1B, which started January 11th, included people 65 and older, grocery workers, first responders, correction officers and workers, school and childcare staff, public transit workers, people living in homeless shelters and staff, residents in other residential or supportive housing programs. Then on February 2nd, this expanded to essential workers such as taxi workers and restaurant workers. And most recently, on February 15th, the eligibility expanded to people who have underlying conditions such as cancer, heart conditions, and even pregnant women. I will say that each state is different, so I highly recommend that you take some time to research and look up exactly what your state is offering in regards to vaccine eligibility. I found a state-by-state guide from the Wall Street Journal that's very helpful. It's titled "How to Get a COVID-19 Vaccine, a State-by-State Guide," and I'll also put the link to this specific article in the description box for the video. Okay, so the next question that I received was, how did I feel initially? Well, the shot itself was relatively painless. It felt somewhat of like a pinch. And I will be honest, I did not get my flu shot last year nor the year before. And maybe I just don't remember how, painful a pinch is or how painful a shot is, but it didn't really pain me. I didn't feel much of anything. And it might also be because I have a high pain tolerance. I'll share in another video, but I had scoliosis surgery when I was younger, and so maybe that's why I've built up that pain tolerance. But overall, I didn't feel any pain when I was receiving the shot. And I will also say the syringe was really small. The needle was really skinny and small as well, and I'm not afraid of needles, so I went in kind of confident that everything was going to be okay, and it was quick and easy as well. All right, so let's get straight into the side effects that I experienced. I received the first dose on January 11th, and then I returned for the second dose on February 8th. For the first dose, I experienced a lot of fatigue and arm soreness. I received the shot in my left arm because I'm right-handed, so I thought, you know, you might as well just get it in the arm that you're not going to be using. And even that was just an experience, I would say. It goes straight into your muscle, so it's not intravenous. And I ended up taking the day off of work the next day because in the moment you won't feel the arm soreness. It's just a little pinch of a shot, but literally the next morning you will wake up, maybe even a few hours later, depending on how early in the day you received the shot. I received it at night, so I think I somewhat played myself with that. But I will say the next morning I woke up and the complete left side of my arm, as well as part of my back, was achy. And as I said, I did have scoliosis surgery when I was younger, so I feel like because of my back issues that I have experienced in the past is why I also experienced that pain there. But overall, I couldn't raise my hand for most of the day. My arm was just, you know, kind of limp and very weak. So I ended up actually taking the day off of work, and I stayed in bed for most of the day. I drank a lot of water and tea, and I took some naps throughout the day just to get my energy back. And I will say probably around like 6 p.m. towards the evening, I was back at 100% again. But the morning, waking up was just very difficult. Then for the second dose that I received on February 8th, the next day I experienced fatigue again, but it wasn't the same level. I wasn't as tired. This time the arm soreness was at a lower level as well. I could raise my arm, so I was like, you know what? We're gonna be okay. Let's work. And throughout the day, I was telling a friend that I was experiencing body chills. Part of me was like, maybe my apartment's cold. I don't know what it is. Maybe my body temperature's off. And I was like, you know what? It's the vaccination. So I was experiencing the body chills and a little bit of fatigue, some headaches throughout the day as well. I took a nap at lunch, and that seemed to help a little bit. But overall, again, I drank a lot of tea. I took, you know, my vitamin C. I took some of my apple cider vinegar vitamins and just stayed hydrated, and also made sure that I stayed nourished, because what you put in your body is so important for what you're gonna give out, whether it's energy or skincare or anything. It all starts with your gut health. So I just made sure that even if I didn't feel like eating, there was a part of the day, I will say, I do remember feeling a little nauseous. I just made it work, you know, you have to push yourself. And I ended up eating some soup and crackers and just something soft to make myself feel better. So the next day I woke up and I was 100%, but that day after is really when you're going to experience all of those symptoms and side effects. And it just means that the vaccination is working. So it is also important to note that even if I experience symptoms and side effects, you might not. I've spoken with a lot of people who have received the vaccination and did not feel anything afterwards. The next day they were okay and ready to go. So everyone's body is different and everyone is going to take to it differently. So that's just important to remember. Okay, next question. Do I think that one was better than the other in terms of companies? Well, I received the Moderna vaccine and I'm quite excited to say that I did. I'll explain that a little bit, but I can't say that one is better than the other in regards to the research that I did. There's actually 8 different vaccines being administered around the world and all require 2 dosages. So let's break down the basics on the vaccines being offered in the US. First, it's important to know that there's a difference in how certain vaccines work. There's genetic vaccines, and these are ones that deliver one or more of the coronavirus's own genes into our cells to provoke an immune response. And then there's also protein vaccines and a few others, but we're gonna focus on genetic vaccines because this is the category in which the two that are being offered are in. The first one would be the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, and it uses genetic molecules called messenger RNA or mRNA, as you've heard. It's 95% effective. It involves 2 dosages, 3 weeks apart, about 21 days actually. And then there's the Moderna vaccine, and it also makes the vaccine from mRNA. It's in partnership with NIH. It's 94.5% effective, and it also involves 2 dosages, 4 weeks apart. Okay, so the reason why I said I was excited to have received the Moderna vaccine is because of a woman named Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. She also goes by Dr. Kizzy Corbett. She is a Black woman researcher and scientist who helped pioneer this specific vaccination with NIH. She received her undergraduate degree from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and her doctorate degree in microbiology and immunology from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where she worked as a research assistant studying virus infections. When her team at NIH gained knowledge of the outbreak occurring in Wuhan, China back in January 2020, they got straight to work. And I will say that her participation and involvement in developing this vaccine honestly gave me the confidence I needed to proceed in receiving the vaccination. As a Black person and a Black woman, it's important to see myself represented in science and in different areas of the world as well. And being that it is Black History Month makes it even more powerful and important that I bring awareness that she did play such a key role and figure in making sure that this happened. So thank you, Dr. Corbett, for your work, and thank you for your contribution to society. And I can't wait to see what you do next. It's amazing, and we are all very grateful for your work. So one of the next questions I received was, do I need a vaccine to travel? And right now you don't, but in the future you very well might. So right now you can travel within the country or to a few other areas outside the country with just a negative COVID test. You have to be tested, however, in no more than 3 days before your flight. It's important to note that even after receiving the vaccine, you'll still need a negative COVID test at this time to travel, usually by plane. Many articles have shared that in the near future, travel may require digital documentation showing that passengers have been vaccinated. This might be called a vaccine passport. There are many different versions currently being worked on by airlines and technology companies. So something is coming, something is in the works. So a big takeaway from at least this discussion, and specifically the COVID-19 vaccine, vaccination can protect you from getting really sick to the point of hospitalization or death. But right now, specifically with the COVID-19 vaccine, researchers are still waiting to learn if a vaccinated person can still become infected and transmit either asymptomatic infection or very mild unnoticed infection. So why did I decide to get vaccinated? Well, I always got vaccinated when I was younger because it was part of school requirements or sports or just different obligations that I had. However, now that I've come of age, I have a true say and a true understanding of my responsibility in regards to taking care of my health. I feel as though being vaccinated was just an extra measure of protection for myself and the lives of those around me, especially family members and friends that I hold near and dear to my heart. I am very grateful to say that I have not tested positive in the past for COVID-19, and that's honestly God's grace over my life and God's favor. However, I know those who have tested positive. I know those who have suffered losses from this horrible virus. and horrible disease. And I want to look back one day on these hard times that we're in and say that I did my part. So everyone has a decision to make, everyone has a choice. And I personally encourage you to do some research and decide if you want to be vaccinated. It could save the lives of other people, and it could contribute to us growing as a society in regards to research and medicine and science. For this specific video, I'm listing all of the resources that I used, all of the research that I did in the description box below. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments box, but I definitely ask that you research as well and just take a look at what's out there. There's so much to know and there's so much to be aware of, and that's really what I wanted to do with this video. I just wanted to increase awareness. So I hope that I did that for you, and I hope that in some way this was a blessing to you. And please feel free to share and just spread the information to other people, because we all have a duty to at least be knowledgeable of what we put into our bodies and of what is out there as well and what's being offered to us. So know your options, know your opportunities, and do what's right for you and do what's right for others. Thanks again for joining me, and I will definitely talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.